speaking of like, the talent were unhappy, there might be some beefs. There might be some unhappy talent in the back, as you said, Josh Alexander backstage all unhappy. Well, there's talent in AEW that have been allegedly unhappy, and we've heard about, more and more the Hardy Boys were saying shit, and then now CMLL, there's a deal where Mexican talent like the Lucha Bros can't appear on the same shows as CMLL talent. Like, what the fuck does Tony Khan think he's doing with this talent that what he's going to bring in CMLL guys, and he has luchadors on his roster he should be trying to build up, and it's just such foolery. But more heat to shift away from that, because that's old news. Kiera Hogan apparently has beef with Mercedes Mone in AEW already.
Really? Okay, I'm lost on that. Fill me in on that one.
Yeah,
I'm
going to. So I'm going to play you a clip, my friend Marty, and this is from a year ago, August 20th, 2023. Here is Kiera Hogan talking about Mercedes Mone on an Instagram Live. And let me preface this by saying a lot of people compare them. A lot of people go, oh, you're just like a knockoff Sasha Banks, your gear, your hair, in regard to Kiera Hogan. Me, I don't get that. I don't know. I always looked at them as kind of different characters.
I despise that comparison. Oh yeah, like I know the people who make those comparisons, and I hear it, and that's like when anytime that there's a predominantly like good, like cool black stable or like faction, then they just want to they want to create the new Nation of Domination, every person of color or that does that, like that's just of the culture, period. They don't look the same, they don't wrestle the same, they don't do that. It's stupid.
Exactly, man. Or when everyone was like, oh, I want to see Jade and Bianca in a tag team, and I'm sitting there like before Jade Cargill came over to WWE, and my whole thing was like, why? I'd keep them so far away from each other until they meet in like a moment like the Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
They had that moment, like, keep them far away. Like, why? Because they're both, like, very athletic black chicks. You want to fucking put them in a tag team together? I just don't get, like, yeah, exactly. So to me, that goes over my head. I don't know. I'm an indigenous dude, so maybe that's why it just goes over my, like, I don't know. You want to, like, I don't know. So it just, to me, I don't get it. To me, Kiera Hogan and Sasha are, like, not similar at all. But also Kiera, I followed her. I loved her when she was a Knockouts tag champion in Impact as well.
Yeah, like with Tasha.
Exactly. That's when I first got on the train with Kiera. But anyways, and these two ladies don't seem to think they're similar either, because here's what Kiera Hogan had to say about Mercedes Mone just a year ago, and we're talking about her possibly now coming in with her writer, which we'll talk about in a moment, into AEW with big business. But anyways, here's Kiera Hogan.
Okay.
Actually, I do go through depression, and a lot of people fucking do, not just me, because I'm sure fucking Mercedes does too, but she don't talk to y'all about that shit. I actually talk to my fans about that shit.
Y'all understand talking about we don't know the girl? Y'all don't know the girl.
Like, do y'all really know her? Do y'all
know how it's wrestling? Like, y'all know we all know and meet and see each other all the time?
I met her on multiple occasions. She's not nice.
Same here.
She's never been nice. She's never been nice. Never.
And other female wrestlers can tell you the same.
So. And then y'all be like, she doesn't know. Yes, she does. If she's a wrestling fan, as she says she is, she watches all wrestling.
Hold on now. I don't know about all that. Anyways.
Like I said, she liked the shit on it and Ring of Honor, so.
Interesting.
Bro, she used to watch my stories. So
yeah, that's the summation of it. I don't know if I agree with her about, oh, you watch all wrestling if you're a wrestling fan, but she's making the point that if Mercedes is who she says she is, because let's be honest, Mercedes does watch all wrestling. She's a big like Japanese wrestling fan and stuff. So that was the point Kiera was making.
She appreciates strong style. She appreciates all that. I mean, I've met her once, and it was her, Bailey, like it was her, Bailey, Tamina. It was at which Mania was this? It was at Wally Mania. I'm trying to remember. And Naomi was there. This was this 30, or is it one of the two? In my interactions, she just seemed cool. It was super chill. But like I know a few people in the business, and just in general. It's not like everybody has to fuck with each other like that. And you could have just caught somebody on a bad day. I feel like a lot of that might have been extra. I don't think that they're on they're in two different stages, two different platforms, two different levels. So I don't think that, and I could be wrong, but I'm just saying, like, maybe there could have been some animosity there, but I don't think that if I'm in a business where I'm trying to get a check and I'm trying to get my value and get my worth, and if I left somewhere, went out, doubled my value, and then ended up going to someplace else to said place to get that money, obviously you're going to keep tabs on everywhere. She showed up. She was at the last TNA pay-per-view. They were present. So and she was backstage. So I would assume that they would talk to people. If she's going to be, she was at what was the thing at Wembley? Can't remember.
All in.
It's All In, right? She was, I would assume she had been backstage at that point if they set her up and put her on camera.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, it's just I mean, to say that, oh, well, you watch everything or to be nice. I was like, I don't know. Like, expound. How many interactions have you had? How many other conversations have you had? There's a lot of hearsay. I feel like there's tribalism in friendship groups too. Like, you see it on X.
Everywhere, and we're tribal people, man. I know. I've heard as well. I've heard, and I've said this before on the show, and I just preface it by saying, like, I can't confirm nor deny. I've never met Mercedes Mone, but I also heard, bro, that she was just like, think her shit don't stink kind of thing, So I don't know. But
possibly.
I'm not.
I mean, it could, but I mean, if you built the legacy that you built, then I look at it this way. Being a minority and going to have to do things. There's certain parts of the spectrum that a lot of people don't take the chance or take the time to like look at. Being of like ethnic backgrounds, like to do the basic stuff, or even in the music stuff that I'm doing, it's like I got to work twice as hard just to get the normal. And that's even harder when you're a woman and a woman of color, when you're already underpaid and working to get twice as hard. Like, I already feel like she should have been, if Charlotte got 5, she should have got 5. She made Charlotte look like gold. If that's really what it was, I'm not pocket watching, but I'm just saying if that's what you hear on the internet, it's like, okay, if that's the case, then I would deserve that too. And then I disagree with her she took that break for like, what was it, like almost 8-9 months? When was this? It was like 20.
It was like 8 months, the same as Naomi, right? They walked out the same time. Yeah.
No, but even before that, when her last contract was there, remember she came back. And this was like right before COVID.
Yeah.
She came back because we thought she was going to be gone, and then they ended up shooting like a documentary for it because she was burnt out and she was going through it. Like I think it was on the network. Like they did a whole special on it. That's why when she came back and turned on Natty, that's why it was such a big thing. So she was going through it too. And then keep in mind, she's relatively young.
Yeah.
Like, she's still very young. So I mean, maturity in this type of business, and maybe she does think her shit doesn't.
And she's in Star Wars and shit too. It's like she don't. I don't know, man. I'm just so happy she's getting like this huge ass payday. This is what I heard, and again, grain of salt. I'm not a dirt sheet, but I did hear this. That they matched everything. WWE matched everything that she wanted. Gave her like a better thing on her merchandise deal and everything. But ultimately, it was like they just weren't going to perk her up like with perks, like the way it's like Becky has a tour bus and gets first class this and top shelf whatever. That's all she wanted as well. Like, she wanted her own bus and shit, and they were just like, no.
So like well, Cody and Randy and Becky and Seth
they matched her money, like, and the whole Charlotte money thing that was started by Sean Ross Sapp, who's like, I heard a rumor that. So everyone ran with it as, oh, he heard us, like he heard, but his exact quote is, I heard a rumor. So that's like, that could mean anything. So I just felt like that was toxic too, and that created a lot of hate on Mercedes where she didn't deserve it. Now, as far as Mercedes coming into AEW, do you think she pops a fucking rating like Punk, and do you think she continues to carry it? I think that's a pipe dream for all the AEW stanatics, man. I think that they're tripping out. Like, I'm not even trying to hate on her. I love her. I hope they paid her tremendously. I'm actually kind of glad she's going to AEW because they don't need WWE, like, doesn't need anyone else right now. Like, they just need to get through this year and see like where the cookie crumbles, because they're just stacked in every division. And so AEW, I think maybe like Timeless Tony Storm and Mercedes could maybe really drum up some attention if that's the route they choose to go, which is kind of a slap in the face to Deonna Purrazzo because she just came there. But that Emmy award-winning writer who just left WWE worked with Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone in a bunch on a bunch of her stuff, and she just signed with AEW. It just like right when I was waiting for you to hop on the show here, Marty, it was just announced.
Oh, did they throw up the graphic that she's all elite? So
well, the writer is all elite. They didn't throw up the graphic, but she is an Emmy award winning, and she started in soap opera. She worked with WWE. Now Tony Khan finally got like a real television writer, and this is someone who's worked closely with Mercedes. And so this is all positives for AEW. I don't know. I'm going to be optimistic about what. Yeah. So, but do you think she makes a big difference? Like, do you think Mercedes is the game changer that they've been waiting for?
Well, I mean, props to her for getting her own Brian Gewirtz. She's doing the same thing that The Rock did. Found somebody who made you look like gold, like diamond plated gold, and kept them with you, and it's went over into other things. So obviously she knows enough people, or has heard enough to know not to trust Tony or his friends booking things.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Because it's just, and this is just me speaking for me, before the internet gets all of my missions and starts saying a bunch of stupid shit. Like, clearly, if you are not Caucasian or Japanese, he does not know how to
yeah, he doesn't know how to book you, bro. No, that's fair to say.
He does not know how to book you. Yeah, he does not know how to book you.
Or a dude. He doesn't. Did you say dude as well? Because he doesn't know how to book women. He doesn't book them.
No. That's my last part. Women, period. Good. He does not know how to book them because he doesn't give them enough shine. When he tried too hard, that's when we got the whole Britt Baker debacle and her just being the only, like, the heat that Charlotte gets is the heat that, like, I noticed Britt Baker didn't start getting, and somewhat deserved, until fairly recently. So, like, my faith in his ability to book a women's division long term outside of like two characters and not sending them to the shows in the abyss, I'm not as strong on it. Now, I think if she has control over her writing, which I'm sure she negotiated, and then she can do that, I know that she'll probably replace Punk in terms of holding Collision down, and then trying to make that more of a focus. That's just based off of prior experience with it. That's where I see it going. Is him doing that and trying to make that happen. She's going to pop a rating, especially with them doing it in Boston, even though she's actually from Fairfield, California, which is right next to the Bay Area where I am from. Boston, that's where she trained. Y'all can claim her, but she's from the same area code that I am.
Okay.
But so she's going to pop that rating. She's going to pop that rating in that venue, in that show. And I think we'll get consistency for about 2 weeks, maybe a month, before she's just on Collision. And then it's just them trying to figure out what they're going to do with this world title picture, how these rankings that don't make any sense at all, before those finally fade away and before they introduce a new belt that nobody's going to remember who's the champion.
You're totally on point with all that.
I'm terrified of this because I just want her. My thing is, okay, I'm sure it's probably only a 2-year deal. She's going to keep it. If I can finesse you, even if I wanted to go back to WWE and they were only going to give me 3 and whatever, if you're going to give me 5 plus everything I asked for, I don't begrudge her. I'm going over there.
Me neither, especially for
me. Well,
yeah.
Hell yeah, I'm going over there. I'm running it up for that 2 years. And
2
I'm
years,
gonna go right back with
she's got her whole life ahead of her. She's got 10 years left in the tank, dude.
Exactly, and her value is just going to skyrocket because they're going to be able to take her from AEW, and then by then it'll be even better. So I mean, I just want everybody to have the same energy they have now in 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, a year, or God forbid if she gets injured in any way, shape, or form.
Oh man, that's my biggest fear. I feel, dude, I'm like, dude, what if because she started being like with WWE, she was hurt and then she was burnt out and then she comes back and then she gets hurt kind of right away. And it's like, God damn, what if she gets hurt again? Like Punk, dude, he got hurt in the fucking Rumble that fucked everything up. You know, it's like,
oh my God.
Yeah. So I'm worried that she gets hurt. That's been my like underlying dream that I'm like, please don't get hurt. Please don't get hurt.
Because then what are they going? Because that's what my thing. Everybody's going to fucking turn on her, and I'm just thinking like, okay, look at these matches that they're doing. It's like every match. If they put women on TV, it's like they're putting them in all these like hardcore, crazy matches. And not
That's
to
what
say
I'm
that
scared about.
it's like she doesn't need to be doing anything with checks or flaming tables.
Or they want to see her match versus Bayley from NXT again. And it's like, I'm sorry, guys. That's like a once in a fucking lifetime you get someone who puts a performance on like that, unless your name's Shawn Michaels or Bret Hart, you know? You get there's like one time you put on a performance like that in your career. And like, I'm not saying she can't do it again. She's had tremendous matches, but like, that's probably her like greatest match to date. Like,
I bet my house that her and Bayley could do that again. I'm
not doubting that. I'm just saying, who's she going to do that with in AEW where they're not touching? The reason people don't get why WWE, like the pay-per-view matches end up being so good and why it's worth it in the end is because like you go on the house show loop and you touch the same people 4,000 times before you even touch them on TV. So the problem with AEW is everyone's part-time and you don't touch everyone. Like,
and they're doing indies and all these other type of dangerous ass matches.
Like you don't have 50 matches off TV before you have a match on TV, you know, and that's why WWE crushes it, and that's why the house show loops are so important in AEW. They don't have that down.
Did the last two, I think there was because back home, I have some family that went back home. The Oakland show that they did had, I think it was like 75 or 7,500, and then the one they did in Fresno had 9,000 for a house show.
Yes, dude. Unbelievable.